Hello friends, today I would like to have a chat about the subject of setting the tempo when a traditional jazz band is about to play a tune. Now I'd like to make it quite clear right from the beginning, I don't think there is a correct or perfect tempo for each tune. I think there is a tempo that feels right in the performance if it suits the character of the tune and also the style of the band. Both those factors come into play, and put them together and you then get what we might consider a near perfect tempo. Tunes can be played at different tempos. Think for example of the speeds at which Louis Armstrong in his 1920s recording and Jelly Roll Morton in his 1920s 30s. Think of the tempos that they set for their tunes and then compare them with the tempos that Tuba Skinny set when they play exactly the same tunes in the 21st century. Tuba Skinny, you will find, tend to be a little bit quicker, and this is not wrong, it's not a mistake, it's just that it suits their particular lineup and style. And so whether it's Louis Armstrong or Jelly Roll Morton, whoever, whether it's Tuba Skinny, provided they get the tempo to feel right for their own style and performance, that's fine with me. Now some tunes of course work at strikingly different tempos. Again, think of Tuba Skinny and the way they play Lily of the Valley and Lonesome Road. Now they play these at quite a brisk tempo, which is fairly unusual because many jazz bands treat these two particular tunes with a sort of reverence and play them quite slowly. So there's an illustration of how tunes can be played at different tempos and sound perfectly well at both of them. An obvious example of another one, of course, is Just a Closer Walk with Thee, which can be played at funerals at dirge tempo, but it also can be played brightly and quickly for a good foot tapping tune, as it often is. So there's another one that can be played both ways. Now, why is it important for a jazz band to establish a good, clear, comfortable tempo and then to strictly maintain it as the tune is played? Well, there are a couple of reasons. The first one is that our music is really intended essentially for dancing, and obviously dancers want to know what's happening with the tempo. They want something steady. They don't want to be messed about to find that suddenly it slows down or speeds up ridiculously. So a nice consistent tempo is what is wanted. But there are other reasons, even if you don't have dancers. If you speed up too much during the tune, you can get to a situation where for some of the players it's difficult to fit all the notes into the space available, and obviously it becomes less musical when that happens. I will admit though there are moments when a little bit of increased tempo can make a tune more exciting. The English jazz band leader Ken Collier used to call this controlled acceleration, where you just build up the tempo a little bit in the final chorus or two to finish in a more exciting way. But going to the other extreme and slowing down, now this is almost invariably bad. If a band leader sets a nice comfortable tempo and gradually the band slows it down, and I must say it's usually the fault of the drummer when this happens. If you've got a drummer who's got a sort of medium tempo that he tries to use with almost every tune, he will drag the tune backwards, and after two or three choruses it becomes painful to both the audience and the other musicians, and they want to get it over as quickly as possible. I must say there's one particular tune on the sunny side of the street which has struck me more than once as being prone to this dragging effect. It's essentially a nice, bright, cheerful tune, obviously, and it should bounce along, dum da dum da dum 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 da dum 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 dum. But because it goes down, dum da dum da dum dum, I often find that the bands hit that low note a bit too heavily, and it leads to a dragging effect and a slowing down in the notes that follow. So you get to dum da dum da dum dum dum, and a few moments later, of course, it's pretty awful for everybody. Anyway, I'd like to talk next about the metronome. This wonderful little tool is used by musicians to train themselves in keeping a nice steady tempo. I believe that the youngsters these days have electronic metronomes, little gadgets that can make little squeaks and squawks at an absolutely even pace and so on. But the metronome that I possess, I actually bought it about 40 years ago, and it was already an antique when I got it, and I'm still using it today. And it works mechanically. It's a wind up, and I must show you how this works and how it can be used to help with practice. So here is my metronome, and as you see on the side it has a wind up key, really old-fashioned mechanical. And then it has a little button beside it which causes a bell to ring, and I can have it ringing on every second beat or third beat or fourth beat or whatever I want by pulling it out to the different adjustments. And that bell indicates the first beat of each bar, so it can go 1 2 3 1 2 3 for a waltz, or 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 perhaps for a stomp or a rag. And at the front here we have the sort of pendulum and then a weight on it, so if the weight is near the bottom we have a fairly fast tempo. Let me just get it going and let you hear that, and then I'll show you how we move to a slower tempo. So this would be a fast-ish tempo at the bottom here, something like at the jazz band ball, let's say. Dum, 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 dum. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 da 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 dum da 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 dum dum. Right, let's try a tune with a slower tempo. We slide it up, and what sort of tempo have I got here? 1 2 3 4, something like Careless Love. La da 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 da. Well, it's a bit slow even for Careless Love, but anyway, the point is you get your metronome going at that sort of speed, and then you try to play a tune along with it or improvise along with it, and it's amazingly difficult to do. I've always found that I'm very quickly either falling behind or getting a little bit in front, and that teaches me that I'm not really very good at just naturally keeping a tempo. In a band, of course, you've got the rhythm section to keep you in order, but just trying to do it in isolation is really quite difficult. I think very good musicians can do it. I certainly can't, but you know, having a metronome like this to practice with is very, very good discipline. Well, finally, I'd like to talk a little about the brilliance of Tuba Skinny in the way that they set and maintain their tempos. As I'm sure you all know, in about 95% of their performances of tunes, it is Shay who sets the tempo. And the way she does it is to hear the tune in her head exactly at the speed she wants to get it, and she spends quite a long time tapping it with her knee, with her hand, with her foot on the ground, perhaps sometimes up to 20 or more seconds of non-stop tap tap tapping, and gradually the band around her gets the feel of this tempo, so they've all got it in their heads. So they've got it going, 1 2 3 4 1, and then when she's nearly ready to start, she will count in just the last couple of bars before they begin. So her foot is going dum 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 dum, and she will suddenly go dum 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 dum, 1 2 1 2 3 4, and then the tune starts. Dun, da, da, da. Right. And one other little point I would make, this is a little technical point you may or may not know, you may find interesting. Not every tune begins on the first beat of a bar. Some of them have a little run into it. So if you think of something like It's a Long Way to Tipperary, now the first full bar begins on the word long, because you've got those little words, oh, it's a, before you say long way to Tipperary. So it's, if you were tapping this one in, you couldn't say 1 2 1 2 3 4, because you'd be singing over the words it's a long. So what you have to do for that is say 1 2, 1, da 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 da, and you start playing straight away on the second beat. And that little bit is called the anacrusis, those little notes that are played before the first main bar begins. This example I'm going to give you, I'd like you to watch Shay really brilliantly preparing the tempo for say CC. And in this one there is a little anacrusis, it's just 2 beats. So when the tune actually begins, after going dun 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 dun, there are 2 dun 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 dun. So there are those 2 little da 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 da, and they are called the anacrusis. So Shay can't actually say 1 2 1 2 3 4. She's only got time to say 1 2 1. And the other thing I'd like you to notice when you're looking at Tuba Skinny videos, if you like to time one of the verses near the beginning of the video, let's say you time it and it comes out at exactly 20.5 seconds, and then fast forward your YouTube to about 3 minutes later when they're coming up to perhaps the 7th or 8th performance of the chorus, time it this time and you'll find it's still exactly 20.5 seconds. Well, I've done this quite often because I try to put timestamps into some of their videos, and it always amazes me how so brilliantly and precisely they hold the tempo from beginning to end. You'll hardly ever catch them out speeding up or slowing down once Shay has set that tempo at the beginning. And I think this is largely due to the strength of the players, the tuba, the washboard, the string players, who maintain it absolutely firmly. Anyway, to finish then, let's see Shay preparing them with her foot tapping and hand tapping to get the tempo just right for the tune Say CC. Well friends, that's it for today. I hope you've found at least some of this video interesting. But from me for now, it's bye bye.